What's going on, y'all? Finna get right to it. In today's video, we're gonna talk about where to send your declarations of nationalities. I know a lot of people out here have tons of documents, but don't have no instruction or understanding on where the hell to send these documentations to. You know, we got affidavits for days, but don't know what to do with them. Don't know who to address it to. So therefore, it has absolutely no power, no standing, no weight, and no purpose. You know, it's as far as what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. Now, topic of the day: where to send your declaration of nationalities and why. Whether you're identifying it as first of all, it's an affidavit. Like, we have all these different documents floating around, and we call it this and we call it that. At the end of the day, it is an affidavit. It's a sworn truth, a sworn oath. Affidavit, it's an affidavit of truth at the end of the day. So basically, what's the purpose of changing nationality or declaring nationality? The whole intent and the whole purpose is for status correction. All right, so of course, as I've been going on for the past 2 minutes, you possibly realize that I'm on a Department of State website. Now, I want to show y'all how open a lot of things are, how obvious things are, and how some things are exactly literal and laid out for you. So you go to the Department of State website, and I know a lot of us are just becoming familiar with the Department of State because of the authentication process with the birth certificate. Whether you completely understand the process and why you're doing it or not, you do have an understanding. You do at least understand that process is important. So if you understand that the process is important, you understand the importance of the Department of State. And if you notice, as part of the process of authenticating the birth certificate, the first initial process, well, after you actually obtained your certificate of live birth, you take it down to that Secretary of State, to the Index Department, to execute your first step. They give you a nice stamped or what do you call it? A certified paper, certified documents that they attach onto your certificate of live birth. And then you take that and you send that off to the Department of State, and they do the same thing. So, the point of that is saying is that is authentication. You took it to the Secretary of State because you needed the state that you lived in to authenticate it. You send it to the Department of State because you need that to be acknowledged and authenticated on the federal level. All right, so right here we have, because if you go to the Department of State, we gotta take time to start looking for all this stuff. As you can see right here, there's physical address and all this stuff, telephone number. Got a list, the Hague Convention, very important for people that don't understand why you're supposed to use countries like Taiwan. So you see authentication requirements, request authentication, services and fees. Let's click on that real quick. by mail, walk-in appointment, payable check, by mail. Well, we're going to skip that. I want to show y'all something. Let's see, authentication requirements. State, federal issue documents. Other documents. Look, check this out. Authentication certificate requirements. Specific requirements must be met before the documents can be authenticated, but those requirements can vary depending on the type of document requiring authentication services. Now, we have, state, local documents, federal issue documents, etc., etc. But our attention comes to the other documents, the other section. We have, first on the list, affidavits, agreements, articles of incorporation, bylaws, commercial invoices, copy of U.S. passport, diplomas, deeds of assignment, all this stuff goes down the list, right? And look, check this out. Look at this right here. Single status. Interesting. Power of attorney. Interesting. Single status. Power of attorney. Interesting. Alright? So look. Requirement for general documents include acknowledged by a notary public. The notary seems to be popping up in all of our different processes with our paperwork. That's why there is no such thing of declaring or giving notice to anything if those documents have not been notarized. We should know better than that by now. Secondly, they say certified by the clerk of court from the county in which the notary is commissioned. All right. Now, I've stated this in probably my first video dealing with the UCC1 as far as the certification, the notary certification for the actual notary itself. Being said that you have an affidavit, you go find a notary to get your document notarized, you get it stamped, all the other good stuff. Now what you have to do is go to the county. You go to that county in that same state that you got your that the notary is from, because you have, of course, different notaries for each that's registered with each state. You go down to that county and you have to get authentication or certification for that notary signature, and they give you a piece of paper, showing the time that they was pretty much registered as a notary, and then basically the time of renewal or dismissal or completion of notary power or presentiments. Now, so this is what they're saying right here when they say certified by clerk of court from the county in which notary is commissioned, and they say and certified by the Secretary of State from the state in which the document was executed. Now check this out. Now what does that mean? What does certified mean? Certified from the Secretary of State from the state in which the document was executed. That is the first level of authentication. That first certification. That certification that you get from the Secretary of State. That's what they're talking about right there. All right. So pretty much all in that order. The notary, the verification, the certification for that notary, and then you get the certification from the actual Secretary of State. Voila. And that is the actual fucking process and procedure, step by step, when you're trying to correct your status. All right. So what is that saying? All at the same time, with this process, that status and that declaration is by default acknowledged and accepted and certified by the state, acknowledged and accepted by the notary, by the clerk and the county, and the Department of State on the federal. They just told you how to do it right there. Now, real quick here. Notary authentication. Let's check this out. Authenticated convention. I'm not gonna read this right here. Authentication requirement, services. You see, it's international treaties and agreements. You need to take a look at that. Not right now though. All right. Let me speed this up real quick before I forget what the hell I meant to show you guys. Okay, so on the Department of State website, they have a section in there about nationality. Okay, give me a second. Let me see. Yeah, they don't want me to show y'all this. Let me see, man. Okay, here we go. Loss of citizenship and nationality. U.S. citizenship laws and policy. The information below provides general guidance on how a person may acquire or lose U.S. citizenship. All right, now for your feature presentation. Let me take a sip of my tea. U.S. laws and policy. The information below provides general guidance about how a person may acquire or lose U.S. citizenship. Please scroll down for additional information. Acquisition of citizenship. U.S. citizenship may be acquired either at birth or through naturalization subsequent to birth. Persons born outside of U.S. may acquire U.S. citizenship under certain circumstances. These are the certain circumstances. We're going to skip those right there. Now we're going to go to loss of citizenship and nationality. A U.S. citizen born or naturalized, all these codes, whatever. U.S. citizen, a U.S. or look, they say a U.S. citizen by birth or naturalization, and these codes define what that means. Whatever, we're not going to that though. You guys look this stuff up yourself. You know, or a U.S. citizen, a U.S. non-citizen national, which is up under the United States Constitution, Section 1408. This is important because this is a huge misinterpretation. So that means we have two categories of slave ship. We have the standard U.S. citizen, which majority of the country is under, and then we have the U.S. non-citizen national. I'm curious to see what that is real quick. Okay. Nationals, but not citizens of the United States at birth. Oh, that's all that means then. They must be talking about people that's coming from out the country, that was born out, literally physically outside the country. Let's verify that. Unless otherwise provided in section 1401 of this title, the following shall be nationals but not citizens of the United States at birth. A person born in the outline and possession of the United States, see, on or after the date of the formal acquisition of such possession. A person born outside the United States and its outline and possessions of or both parents of whom are nationals but not citizens of the United States, and have had a residence in the United States or one of its outlying possessions prior to birth of such person, basically can expatriate him or herself by committing the statutory act of expatriation as defined in INA 349. But if the act is performed, only if the act is performed voluntarily, with the intention of relinquishing U.S. citizenship. The U.S. Supreme Court has spoken. A person cannot lose U.S. nationality unless he or she voluntarily relinquishes that status. Sometimes we need to dig a little deeper into words so stuff can stick. I'm sorry. Duck, duck, go. Alright, so relinquish. To retire from, to give up or abandon. To put aside or decease from. To let go or surrender. And that's exactly what we want to do. So, going back to what they just said. A U.S. citizen or a U.S. non-citizen national will lose U.S. nationality for himself or herself by committing a statutory act of expatriation. But if the act is performed, if only the act is performed voluntarily with the intention to relinquish U.S. citizenship. The U.S. Supreme Court has spoken. All right, my bad. I gotta repeat stuff, make sure people understand it. The significance of these statements. A person cannot lose U.S. nationality unless he or she voluntarily relinquishes that status. All right. So this is why we got to be talking to the Department of State when we're talking about status correction. Renouncing the U.S. nationality by persons claiming the right of residence in the U.S., possible loss of U.S. nationality and dual nationality, possible loss of U.S. nationality in foreign military service, so forth and so forth. Person claiming the right of the. Let me check this real quick. By persons claiming right of residence in the United States. Okay, hope you guys are reading that. It cannot be renounced by a parent or legal guardian under any set circumstances. It has to be done by that person. Since nationality is a status that is personal to the individual, U.S. national, it cannot be renounced by a parent or a legal guardian up under any set circumstances. So we can't have people doing stuff on our behalf. That's why I keep telling people, you can't. This is not nothing you could just pay somebody to do for you. You have to be involved. You have to be the doer in this situation. Nobody can do this for you. But notice, look what they say here. And cannot be canceled or set aside absent a successful administrative or judicial appeal. Put another way. They say this shit cannot be taken back and does not merely suspend nationality, but irrevocably relinquishes it. Like, basically, once you correct your status, it can't be bought back. You cannot become, once you're free from the U.S. citizenship of slavery, or once you're released from the ship of U.S. slavery, you cannot be reported back onto the slave ship, which is a good thing. That's good news right there, right? Hey, this is a good good article, good information. Like, it tells like exactly, man, exactly, like exactly what the fuck. Let's see here. Certificate of Non-Citizen National. They say the Department of State occasionally receives requests from certificates of non-citizen national status pursuant to Section 341 of the Immigration and Nationality Act. That's something to look into too. As the title of the certificate indicates, only a person who is in a non-citizen U.S. national, example U.S. national but not a U.S. citizen, may apply for such a certificate. That's important right there. They say, as the title of the certificate indicates, only a person who is a non-citizen U.S. national, or example U.S. national but not a U.S. citizen. Okay? American national, U.S. national, same shit. So only when after that status has been corrected, you can obtain a certificate showing that correction, because you are not a U.S. citizen. Okay? They say, as defined by the INA, they say all U.S. citizens are U.S. nationals, but but uh, but only a relatively small number of persons acquire U.S. nationality without becoming U.S. citizens. That's a serious statement right there. That's a real serious statement right there. They say, as defined by the INA, all citizens are U.S. nationals. Mean all citizens, everybody here is technically secured parties, or technically free. Everybody here is technically free, but rarely, or only a relatively small number of people actually acquire their freedom without ending up becoming a U.S. slave by some way, form, or fashion of some sort of contracting. I'm trying to understand, are we reading between the lines here? And I purposely read slow. I read slow personally, period, because I want to make sure I'm actually ingesting the information accurately. So all that speed reading shit people be doing, that's why you don't get the information. That's why you have so much stuff. So you have so many documents, but you don't know what to do with it, because you're not taking a personal time to understand the information, to really receive the information correctly. If you're not ingesting correctly, you can't possibly expect your mind and your spirit to digest appropriately. It's not a game, y'all. I'm not gonna go past this, man. This stuff is just pretty much just laid out, man. This is just laid out. This is laid out. So if y'all want to go check this out, like I said, this is on the Department of State website, man. You know, I just paid attention to the highlight things. I wanted to express to y'all the certain highlights, things that poked out to me that was interesting in me. I just wanted to share it with you guys real quick. But you guys take it how you want to take it. I'm just sharing information on how I see it, or things that I think that are important for us to pay attention to and to understand. And that's just me personally. If you feel what I'm saying, if you get the point of the message, please like, subscribe, hit that bell button to get the updates anytime I post another video, and definitely join the Hellraiser Legacy if you're really about this life of true freedom, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Join the Hellraiser Legacy, and shoot, holla back.